The 9 Years Podcast.
Alright everybody, and welcome to episode 85 of the 9 Years Podcast with myself, Nick Draper, and Stuart Deakins, a very tired Nick Draper this week, who is now speaking about himself in the third person as if he's The Rock. But of course I had to get a wrestling reference in there to start the show off with. I'm going to veer away from wrestling for a moment. Episode 85, Stu, well, there's two things. Number one, of course, 1985 was not only the year of the very first WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden, but also a song by the band Bowling for Soup, which begs the question, do you have a favourite type of soup?
Soup?
Soup.
Yeah, with soup sometimes I'm very traditional. I like bit of tomato and basil. I like pea and ham, carrot and coriander. But if I was going to go for, I like pea and ham. I like the colour of it.
Pea and ham?
Pea and ham.
I've never had that. What? That's not a soup.
It is. If you go to
like a casserole.
No, well, right. Yeah, no. If you go to I'm not being snobbish here, but if I get soup, I don't get like the tinned iron soup because I think that's just water. So I get they do. If you go into like most decent supermarkets, obviously we haven't got favourites on this show, but they do like the gourmet, like the fresh stuff. And if you get pea and ham, it's got lumps of massive bits of pea and ham. It's great stuff. I think you should try it.
What shops are you buying these in?
They're in all the good shops, all the good, we obviously can't be biased about these shops, do you know what I mean? But all the top ones.
Are you there now? Are you at the side of the road by the supermarket?
Do you know what? I will, once we release our podcast on Friday morning, I will put some links to the soup for pea and ham. They're lovely, trust me, they're really nice.
Okay.
Look, my fiancée won't have them at all. She looks at me as if I've just committed a cardinal sin, but they are lovely.
I'll take your word for that, and some of our listeners might be listening on Thursday night, depending on when I get this podcast out, but who knows? Who knows? I do have to put the question, are you standing by the side of the road whilst we're recording this?
No, it's really warm, so my windows are open. And
that would explain that.
There's obviously, it's a very busy time of the day, so yeah, it needs to get some fresh air. It's quite warm, even though I know we were chatting, it's quite cold for you at the moment, after the week of weather you've had.
Well, yeah, I've been in Orlando, so right now this is chilled. This is nice and cool. This is perfect. Orlando doesn't seem to have cold time of the day at any point.
No.
Unless you're inside, of course, with the air conditioning. But anyway, I'm sure we'll talk more about WrestleMania over the course of the show, if I stay awake for it.
Yes, if you hear snoring, it means Nick's fallen asleep.
No, I've nodded off because I'm still jet-lagged and what have you. But to start with this week then, top 7 lists. I'm going to do a WrestleMania-related top 7, Stu. You'll be unsurprised to hear, but I have linked it to football.
Cool, I'll be disappointed if you had them.
So I have gone for my top 7 football shirts that I saw at WrestleMania. Over WrestleMania weekend.
Good shout. Yeah, that's what are they?
Well, technically there are 8, because the first one on my list is a pair of mates that turned up, one in a Rangers shirt, one in a Celtic shirt.
Random.
Yeah, that was very strange. Other than that, other shirts on display were Sheffield Wednesday, Brighton and Hove Albion, Queen's Park Rangers sat just a few rows in front of us at WrestleMania, which was great for my QPR mate that was with us. Northampton Town, Doncaster Rovers, and then finally, Stu, which club do you think I saw a shirt of?
Watford.
Don't irritate me.
Oh, Luton.
Luton Town.
Ah, they get everywhere, don't they?
I could only think he was wearing his Luton shirt because it was back in the days when they were sponsored by a company called Universal, and he thought he was in Orlando, so it made sense. But yes.
I thought you were going to say that they used to be sponsored by Bedford, if you remember, that sort of... Do you remember that? The old white top they used to have with the Bedford on it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, that was a famous cup-winning shirt, I believe.
Steve Foster used to wear it. Crikey, we're going back a bit.
Bruno Steen. But anyway, you're listening to the Luton Town and WrestleMania podcast.
Do you know what? The good thing is, I'm glad you brought a Celtic reference into there, because did we see that Adi Aziz scored against Celtic at Celtic Park over next week?
I did see this.
Oh dear! The person who these 10 chances to get one goal got a great, and I love Adi Aziz, and but yeah, scored at Celtic Park. Great stuff for him.
I've not seen the goal. I've seen a picture of him celebrating as if he's looking, going, "How the bloody hell have I done that?"
It's like the Carl Lebo celebration when he scored against Crystal Palace all those years ago. Looking to God and going, thank you.
Yes. Thank you for making that happen for me. But, what's
Sorry,
your top 7 list this week?
Yeah, so I've got, because it's quite warm. I know, again, you're going to be laughing at that, but it's quite warm at the moment. So I'm sort of stopping for ice creams and lollies because it's getting to that time of the year. So I thought I'd have my top 7 ice cream stroke lollies.
Go on then.
So, the orange Capillo. No, not Capillo.
I love those orange Capillos.
Okay. Oh, so my fiance's laughing her head off. But what are they called? No one. What are they called?
Calippo.
That's the word. Let's start again.
No.
Okay.
Just say Calippo and Calippo.
Orange Calippo.
Right.
A feast. Strawberry Cornetto. The fruit pastel. A nice lolly.
Yeah.
A 99 flake.
Yes.
No, flake. The White's lemon lolly and the Mars bars ice cream.
Brilliant. I have a feeling, Stu, you might have done this top 7 list before. However, I don't remember the Capillo or the Conretto that you used to have so much. But
it's because my spell check.
you can't blame your spell check for getting the name of an ice cream wrong.
On my spell, I don't obviously didn't spell it right, but I spelled it as Calippo, and that's what it showed. So I blame my spell check.
Oh wow! Thanks for
Oh,
that, Stu.
dear.
That was enlightening, as always.
Thank you.
You just made the list!
Alright, so today's show then, all the usual features. We'll have Two a Tango, we'll have Poli on Go. Ryan Sweeney's going to join us a bit later to look ahead to the game with Bristol Rovers on Saturday. But now we're joined by George Jones to talk through the defeat at Port Vale. I have no idea what happened. We lost 2-0.
Yes.
What did we? Let's start from the beginning. Like, what happened? What was the team for a start? Was there any surprises? What was the shape? Let's start. What was the shape of the team?
Well, it was a 5-3-2, and the only real surprise in the starting 11 was that there wasn't the younger players that we'd been led to believe there would be. So I, for one, thought Alfie Egan might start, and maybe Toyosi would be on the bench, and that Antwi might have started, but Antwi did come off the bench, and I believe he's won a man of the match poll, so that shows how good a game he did for the last 15 minutes, but it was a poor game, to be honest.
So what do we do in midfield then? Was it centre midfield, 3 of, what was it, Soares, yeah. Reeves? Parrott, right, okay. And then who up front?
Elliott and Lyle.
Right, so it was a first choice 11, wasn't it? No, it doesn't sound like there any changes at all whatsoever. So,
yeah, that was a surprise because Coxey said in the week that we'd be having younger players getting game time, and considering that other games that were on Saturday and this midweek, a win on Saturday would have made us all but mathematically safe. And I know we can do it this Saturday, but it would have been really nice because then we might have been ahead of other teams and would have been a bit more enjoyable for the last 5 games.
We're not seriously still going down these terms of being mathematically. We are safe in League One next season.
Do not say that. Not yet.
Well, I'm looking at the table thinking, these teams, and bearing in mind, I always say this when people go, but mathematically we're not safe. But the teams that are in the bottom 4 are having to put near enough championship form to catch us, and the reason they're down the bottom 4 is because they've had bottom 4s to 4 ball seasons. So I know what you mean. Until it's mathematically possible, but realistically, I'd be more worried if I was Gillingham than I would be if we were us, George, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. Gillingham and Charlton are in free fall. I'd be very worried for them, but I'm slightly enjoying watching Charlton free fall for no reason whatsoever. It's quite nice watching them go through.
Sad that note, right, about Gillingham, just take off topic. There was an interview with Cody McDonald, and he said, we didn't realise we were in a relegation battle until this week. Well, I'm sorry, but footballers are normally associated a bit with not being very clever, but that proved it, didn't it? How can you think you're not in a relegation battle? They were in a relegation battle when we played them, if you remember properly. It was like a 6-pointer, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So Antwi comes on in 72 minutes.
Yeah.
He's just got his squad number printed, which was number 38.
Yep, sounds right.
and he comes on 11 minutes before Alfie Egan, who's got splinters on his backside all season.
Yes.
What's the sense in that?
I know. Like I said earlier, I expected Alfie to start, or at the very least to come on with half hour left, get a couple of minutes. Because it's not. To be honest, we're all but safe this season. We've got 5 games left. It would have been nice for him to get 3-4 starts under his belt, especially when you look at next season, because we want to know whether he's going to be someone who can get how many games in next season, or whether he needs to go out on loan to a conference club, League 2 club, just to get some minutes.
So Port Vale, always a big picture at Port Vale. How do we plan it? We had quite a lot of possession from looking at it.
Yeah, no, we were the better team on the day, but they were poor and we were poor. But we were the better team, and the scoreline didn't reflect it. The second goal was a bit controversial for reasons that I think have been well explained on our Twitter feed. But it was a poor game. Everyone played poorly.
It's sort of one of those games for me. I mean, I can't speak because I was at WrestleMania, of course, but for a lot of our fans, I think you get to this stage of the season, a game away from home against a struggling team, it doesn't really have much allure. I'm not surprised it was a bit of a nothing in the end. Do you think?
Yeah.
Did Port Vale strike as a team that are going to get themselves out of trouble and survive at the end of the season?
No, I don't think they will. I think, to be honest, you've got a better chance of looking at other teams in and around there. And if they do stay up, it'll only be because Charlton or Gillingham have been in freefall since the start of this year and have been worse. They don't deserve to stay up, Port Vale, definitely not.
Did I see one of their goal scorers was Chris Eagles?
Yes, and it is the Chris Eagles.
What was he like?
He was poor, to be honest. He didn't look like a standout player that has been playing at the level Chris Eagles has done. But saying that, it was a poor game, so it could just be he's had an off day.
Yeah, I look through their squad. He is the standout player. There's no doubt about that. Don't know why he's got a squad number of 44. And they got, was that Cecilia up front? Wasn't that a song? I'm talking off topic, of course. Port Vale, I think they get out of it. Was it 45 points? 2 points clear of Shrewsbury. They've still got 2 games in hand. I think with the extra games they've got, Gillingham are the ones. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, Charlton. Is it sad that I say Charlton was funny? I don't mean funny in terms of what's happened there, but in a way, the fans are going to be punished if they get relegated. But would that not just then finally get rid of the ownership in Charlton? Because I look at Charlton's problems when you look at players like Jose, who's gone from Charlton to Swindon and scored, I think, 4 or 5 goals since he went there.
Yes.
You can just see the trouble that there must be at that club, the atmosphere, everything around it. You have to think really that it could really be one of the biggies that go this season.
Yeah, no, it's one of they're the side that needs to go 1 step back in order to go 2 steps forward, because they go back, it will get rid of the liar they've got in charge as a manager. It might encourage their owners to sell up. And for them, they're in the same situation as Coventry, where they need to go down and maybe even down again in Coventry's case, just to be able to build up from scratch, which is what both of them need to do.
I've just been looking at the fixtures, and do you know that Charlton in their last 5 play all of the bottom 4? That's
Really?
a hell of a run-in. Yeah, they've got Cov, Chesterfield, Swindon, or maybe not Shrewsbury, sorry, but Gillingham, sorry, that's the other one, so not bottom 4, sorry, but Gillingham as well. So
the 6 pointers basically.
Yeah, basically for all of them, yeah.
And just looking at Port Vale, they got the opposite. Crikey, I didn't. I wish I looked at their fixtures before I said I think they're safe. They got Chesterfield away Saturday, then they go home to Sheffield United, away to Oxford, home to Bolton, away to Walsall, and finish away at Fleetwood on the last game of the season.
Ouch.
Yeah,
All those teams are fighting for stuff.
Yeah,
more than anything else.
I'll take that back. Oh dear, that's not. No wonder they were so desperate for points against us, wasn't it?
Yeah, they needed those, didn't they? Blimey. Okay. So, looking back on Saturday then, we talked about having lots of possession, not playing too badly then. So where did it go wrong for us?
I think it was just... I think the players have switched off. Their mind was already where they're in the summer. And it was just we were lacking that clinical touch. They wanted to win the game, we didn't. Even though we had possession and probably the opportunity to create better chances, we came close a few times. But the fact that we had one long-range Swords effort, which their keeper made a real hash of, was the closest we came, and a Darius Charles overhead kick from 6 yards out. So it felt like a pre-season game from our boys, to be honest, and they wanted to win it, so they did.
And also a good chance from Jay Reeves, wasn't it, first half, where he managed to get in 1-on-1 and hit the side netting.
Yeah, but we must forget that is a player who has scored less than Sean Kelly this season.
Do you know what? The thing is, with the thing with Jake Reeves, in all seriousness, if he put goals to his game, we wouldn't have a chance of keeping him. I think that's a fair thing to say, isn't it? I think it's just his finishing with that. Was it a case then, George, do you think Port Vale, big pitch, do you think it's more of a case that Port Vale let us have the possession because we probably weren't going to do much with it and then hit us on the break? Did it seem that sort of that thing, or was it just really just, we just done nothing with the possession?
I think we played like a side of our should be. It was like a game, and if we were fighting for something, we would have won it comfortably. But the pitch, to be honest, at Port Vale isn't a huge amount bigger than we've got at Kings Meadow. It looks bigger, but in general dimensions, it actually isn't. So that's a bit of a myth. But we could have won it had we wanted to, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I think maybe at Port Vale, it's because it's got such big, deep stands around it, isn't it?
Yeah. And the stands are all about 10 yards away from the pitch, so you've got that extra runoff, which we don't have at Kings Meadow, which is why our pitch looks so much smaller, because all the stands are literally within touching distance of the sideline.
So how many did we take up there, George? Was it a healthy following up to Port Vale?
Yeah, considering it was a dead game, a long way away, and not the most appealing away game we've had this season, or that even we've got left this season. It was, I think we had about 350, which isn't bad for a dead game at this time of year.
Did you have a look around the town of Port Vale before the game? What's it like?
I would have done if there was a town called Port Vale, but
there we go, George.
What's the town? It's Bursum, isn't it? Is that right?
Something like that.
It's not very nice, is it? Let's be fair. That area around the ground is... Yeah.
I remember when I went there before. You know, you go up north, right? I don't know where you go up north, but up north they have what they call a hole in the walls, where they literally like a hole in the wall hole in the wall like pie shop or something, where they literally have just got a house knocked out a window, and it's basically just I remember seeing one of those. I'm probably not explaining it very well. Listeners will probably correct me and laugh at me at the same time, but it's sort of like just where a window had been knocked out, and they were just selling food from their front room. Very strange.
Thanks for that.
Hey, adding variety to the conversation as always.
I think we've come up with a new feature: travel logs with Stuart Deakins.
It's what I noticed. I remember you turn up, because Lorraine and I drove up there one of the games, and you can see Stokes ground from what seemed miles and miles, and you turn right, and you just go into the most weirdest place. It's just full of... It's even worse than places like Accrington.
What was that TV show that used to be on the BBC, like that holiday programme? You used to go around the world and report on what it's like. That's what we're going to recreate on this show, I think. Here we go.
It was called Holiday, wasn't it?
I think it was just called Holiday, yeah.
Yeah, obviously the BBC originality shock.
Yeah, maybe we should just call our podcast.
So, George, obviously, what have we got now? Is it two more away games now? Swindon?
Yeah, 2 away. Swindon and Bradford.
Cool.
I'm not doing either of those.
Yes, and we're not doing any of them, so we'll probably invite you back on for the last two, George, and try and get some more information about the towns and that, because I've got a feeling that that's going to be more exciting.
Well, if I survive the roundabout next to Swindon's ground, I should be able to give you a bit of information about that.
I think that's it in Swindon. There's not much else. It's just roundabouts.
That is the best roundabout, by the way, ever. Me and Lorraine drove to Swindon, and I remember Lorraine looking to think, is there any right away? And in the end, you literally just play Russian roulette and you go.
And you just go whichever way you're going and gun it.
I can't believe in this day and age you've got such a... They must not have many accidents, I'm just assuming, because there's no way surely you would keep a ridiculous setup like that.
Just like to remind listeners, you're listening to the 9 Years podcast, and you can probably guess that the game at Port Vale was not the most entertaining, exciting or newsworthy. Hence we're talking about roundabouts in Swindon. So let's bring it back round to something that George mentioned earlier. There was a man of the match poll on Twitter following the game with Port Vale, of which Jaden Antwi, for all his 15 minutes, won with 70% of the vote, ahead of Tom Sawes on 13%, Lyle Taylor on 12%, and Paul Robinson on 5%. There were some 3-word reports as well, just a few. I'm guessing Chris put this up, did he?
Yeah, the same time.
Yeah. Already on the beach, ? Was his from the official 9 Years Podcast Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. To which we had from David at Chudley Cannons, went for slept in, regretless. Pretty much my feelings. I think you could say that on Saturday I could say NXT, because that's where I was. Tommy Walgar at Womble Tom, Fail at Vale. He should be a poet. And then we had Running Womble at Running Womble, went for FFS. I will leave it there. And
I like that. That's a winner.
Mark at CIFF. Hardly a bother. So yeah, not a great deal went on at Port Vale on Saturday. But thank you very much, George, for giving us some insight into what happened.
No worries.
We are clearly on the final straight now, aren't we? We really are winding down towards the summer. So,
well, 5 games left. Sort of 7-8 points would be a half decent return from the games we've got.
Yeah, I think we're just looking to finish above a certain other club in this division, so that's our target for this season. But thank you very much, George.
No worries. See you soon.
George. Take care, mate.
Speak to you in a bit. Okay, we talked about then at Port Vale, Jayden Antwi and Alfie Egan, and the progress of our younger players moving into the first team squad. You saw a very interesting article in the week regarding the use of younger players and how perhaps we can get them some game time in a competitive environment without having to meddle about with any Football League trophy competition or anything like that. Something coming from the Brentford Academy, I believe, who actually dissolved their academy and have taken a different slant on getting some of their younger players some experience against some top quality opposition.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there was an article, and again, I'll put this as link it on to our Twitter site. But basically, it's a Guardian article, and it's about Brentford, who dissolved their academy. And I don't know if you remember, but our youth academy, Jeremy Sawyer and Mark Robinson actually set up some open evenings to attract the kids that were being released because Brentford had a good academy. And I do believe we did take some of their academy things. But basically, the article, in the long and short of it is that they basically were spending £2 million a year on their academy, and they just felt it was too much of a risk in terms of that. Actually, the risk was that it could potentially take up to 10 years to turn around in terms of the talent coming through their academy. Where what they've actually gone to now is actually they're recruiting players between 17 and 20 that have been released by the academies in the Premier League. They don't look at any of the clubs in terms of, they don't look at any sort of League 1, League 2 players for young players. They don't go for them anymore. They literally go for all the cast-offs. And also, they also talk about the talent from overseas. So what they're saying is a lot of clubs overseas, they're more tactical based, whereas the league we've got is obviously more about a physical side of it, having a physical presence. So what they've been able to do, they've been able to get some cast-offs from overseas clubs who don't believe that technically and tactically they're any good, but actually physically they are, and they believe that they can teach the technical side and tactical if you have the physical attributes. So it was a really interesting article and got me thinking this week where, Alfie Egan, Dave Fitzpatrick, Ryan Sweetney obviously released, and players like that are we getting the right game time for them? Because the under 21s this season has been challenging in some times of actually getting fixtures arranged because of many different reasons this season. So it's a really interesting article and just gives a different way that Brentford are trying to bridge that gap, but very quickly.
We've seen in the past that Neil's not really reticent to give players opportunities. Ryan Sweeney's a great opportunity because he had a great long run in the team last season, didn't he? But it does seem a bit strange that Alfie Egan basically has spent his season on the bench and hasn't got time to come on in some situations. I think we've seen, perhaps was it Rochdale? Everything in my mind at the moment is a little bit all over the place, to be honest with you, because I'm not with it. But I have a vague recollection that a couple of days before I flew out to WrestleMania, we played and beat Rochdale at home. And we made a triple substitution, didn't we?
Yeah, and he didn't come on.
No, which...
Yeah, it was. We had the discussion, didn't we? Because we actually brought on Tyrone Barnett. And I thought, and nothing against Tyrone Barnett, because of course Alfie Egan and Tyrone Barnett totally different positions, but the reason I reference that is that I strongly believe now that we know enough that we're probably not going to have Tyrone Barnett next year, if we're being truthful. I just doubt very much if we're going to take him for the extra year, unless we've got him a 2-year contract, and actually we've got no choice but to take him next year. But Alfie Egan, hasn't had the chance. And I think the reason I looked at the article, and it's a really interesting article, Is it because it's obviously the way that they're using the fixtures? So I look in here, and basically they're going to have 35 fixtures this season by doing the friendlies. We, by comparison, are going to have 22. So, but when you bear in mind that probably the best opposition we are going to play this season, if you take away the cup competition we had where we played Middlesbrough, Charlton and Fulham, the best probably team we're going to play is probably Bournemouth in terms of they're still in our group. Yeah, if you look at what Brentford are playing, this is where it's really interesting. And when you think about it, you get better by playing against quality opposition. They have basically played this season, so where we go in, played Chelsea, Villarreal, Valencia, Liverpool under 23s. They play in Luck Academy, so much like we do, because obviously we go through there. They had 1,056 at home to Manchester United under 23s. Where we go? Chelsea again. They played. I'm not going to try and pronounce them. They look like they're Chinese. Bayern Munich, Hamburg, Crystal Palace. And to finish off this season, they've got a couple of fixtures against the Man City under 21s and a home game against Orlando Pirates. So you can see already that the exposure those kids are getting against quality opposition, even though they're not in a recognised league, they still are getting good opposition to play. And it's really interesting. Brentford do think outside the box. Don't forget, their owners are the people that have the statistical information. And they had a club over, I'm trying to think what country it was now, but they base all their recruitment on statistical information, which means they get the right players for certain positions.
But is creating a season worth of friendlies just leading, if more and more academies have this idea, just going to lead to almost turning full circle, won't it, eventually, and just create a new league system? Potentially, yeah, if everyone did it. Yeah, you're right, if everyone did it. I don't know whether people want to do it. It's an interesting thing. I'm not, and don't get me wrong, this is an article, I'm not suggesting that this is the way we should go, because my opinion is actually our academy very much represents the community aspect of it. You know, anyone that goes down to the training ground on a Saturday and a Sunday will see age groups from anything from like under 7s, under 8s going through to under 18s. And for me, it's a sense of community, and that's where part of the borough. If you're just picking up the 17-year-olds, then a little bit you're not going to do that. But I do think it's a really interesting way that Brentford are trying to bridge that gap. They're being honest and saying that spending £2 million a year for a 10-year turnaround is not what they want. They want it to be done quickly. I believe in reading through the article, they've already had 4 players that they got this year on freebies that have actually made appearances in their first team. So there obviously is a route in. And you wonder sometimes, have we got the route in? But is that because Neil Ardie doesn't trust them because not playing against quality opposition? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. And I do apologise if you've mentioned this already, but I'm just, as we're recording, I've got Sky Sports News on in the background, and literally coming across the screen, well, I'm not literally coming across, you know what I mean, on the bottom on the little ticker thing, something's just popped up which says, next season all 71 proper and 1 rogue EFL clubs from next season have to increase the number of homegrown players in their matchday squads from 6 to 7.
Yep.
Sorry if you've mentioned this already. I have no idea what's going on, as you know. I don't know. I'm half asleep. Homegrown players defined as having been registered with the club for 3 seasons prior to their 21st birthday. And then if I just let it scroll on one more time.
So Brentford's model would work because they get them at 17, don't they? So Although they'd have to be for 3 years, of course. And
they have to have 1 club-developed player, which means a player who's been a club for at least 12 months prior to the end of their under-19 season. And then it says Keith Stroud will not referee game between Gillingham and Millwall on Saturday, but that's something else entirely. We'll come to that another time. So do you think the increase from 6 to 7 then, basically, what do we have in a matchday squad now? 18?
It's an 18-man squad, isn't it?
Yeah,
so yeah, but we've seen the season. We've had them on the bench. We just haven't used them. So it could be bench fillers. Bearing in mind, one's going to be a goalkeeper. Most people now have an academy or someone that's come through. I know we've got McDonald, haven't we? And would he class now? I mean, he must be coming to his 3rd season now, mustn't he?
But then, if you've got 7 of them that have to be in your squad, that's your subs bench.
Yes.
Now, I can't imagine many clubs are going to want to have 7.
No.
On the bench, so that surely opens up opportunities for the first team.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's interesting. That's coming from obviously the Sean Harvey, who's obviously now trying to justify the the inclusion of the B teams, isn't he? So he's obviously now trying to. It's good in a way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to give the guy a hard time because obviously they're trying that way. We won't struggle with that. That's quite a lot, isn't it? 7. Yeah, you throw me on that.
Yeah, sorry, I like to chuck in things.
Seven's quite a good number. I think we won't have any problems with that. Trying to think, a few other clubs, it could make it a bit. Yeah, you could use your first 11 would be strong if you're spending. So, for example, Sheffield United as well and stuff like that. Yeah, still going to be strong because their first team's probably been bought in. But we should be okay with that. I would have thought we've got obviously enough coming through next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just sorry to sort of bring this full circle then. What do you think then, in Brentford's model of playing these friendlies against higher class opposition, do you think the situation with our sort of academy times is that the quality isn't there?
I think
not in terms of to clarify that. What I mean is not in terms of obviously the quality of the players that we produce, but the level of competitiveness or the level they're playing at isn't as high as perhaps it needs to be.
There's two things I think sometimes with the under 21s. This year we've seen that we've literally arranged games at short notice because they haven't had enough games. We've mixed it in with the under 18s because we've been supplementing the 21s into the first team squad, albeit as the 18 or being on the bench. You know, if you think about really who's broken through into the first team, no one really. Alfie sat on the bench all season. Dave Fitzpatrick went on loan. But I think some of the games, you know, when I look at the fixtures here, they've had a good selection of games. You know, done tours and stuff like that, and they played against some good opposition. I think that helps having a healthy fixture list. Whereas, you know, if you look at our fixture list, we start the season, we played a couple of games and then played nothing for a couple of months. I think regular football is better, and this model looks at it. If you think about for Alfie Egan and Dave Fitzpatrick got out on loan. That did him a world of good. Alfie sat on the bench all year. That does concern me. But, you know, in all fairness to Neil Ardley, he has said in the interview after the Port Vale game, if I remember properly, that he's got big plans for Alfie Egan next season. So is it purely this season we've not chucked him out on loan because actually he just wanted him to get that feeling of the season, you know, the feeling of travelling and being involved in the first team squad to launch him next year? But we have that opportunity in from the 18s into the first team squad. I just don't know now if we still have that belief that our quality is good enough to step into League One on a regular basis.
Interesting. Well, I guess only time will tell. And We'll know more next season, won't we? And see how the squad shapes up over the summer. Lots of unanswered questions. But we certainly feel that the quality of the talent we produce from the academy is very, very strong, don't we? So we do think we want to see more of these products in the first team. We do think it's now that time of the season where we need to start getting them in and getting them experience. So hopefully over the next 5 games we shall see that. Yeah,
and don't forget, obviously, Antwi's just come in and got a contract, and anyone that's not seen it yet, go onto the official site, and there is highlights from our win against Portsmouth 2-1, where we had late goals. We were 1-0 down going to late. We scored an equaliser, and then Paul Canabay scored a winner in the last minute, who obviously has got a 2-year contract with us, so we probably might see him next year. So there definitely are players there. It's just that next stage, isn't it? It's just, you know, have we got that confidence to chuck them in, and rather than bringing in experienced pros that we got.
Cool. Right. Should we do a couple of games?
Yes.
2 Tango.
Definitely.
Now, David Peters at @DavidPeters_ did contact us in the week. I did see this. I managed to clock this one amongst all my travels. And he went for former or past England players.
Okay.
So what I'm going to suggest is these are players that are officially retired from international football, not players, for example, that might have been in England squads that aren't currently, if you get my drift.
Yeah, so officially retired.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's easy enough to do, yeah.
Yeah, let's have a go. I'm going to sneeze probably first.
I say that's easy enough to do, and I will fail on the 3rd or 4th.
I have now sneezed, and we can get on with it. Okay, let's have a go. Do you want to go first?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's go.
You gotta listen out for this guy. It's a famous name, but don't flop. Something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity 2-word tango.
Tony Adams.
Alan Shearer.
Paul Gascoigne.
Paul Parker.
Peter Shilton.
Paul Ince.
Gary Lineker.
Gareth Southgate.
Emil Heskey.
Kenny Sampson.
Stephen Gerrard.
George Cohen.
Frank Lampard.
Jeff Hurst.
Bobby Moore.
Bobby Charlton.
Martin Keown.
Nicky Barmby.
Owen Hargreaves.
Sol Campbell.
Michael Owen.
Rio Ferdinand.
John Fashanu.
Gary Neville.
Steve Ball.
Teddy Sheringham.
Phil Neville.
Steve McManaman.
Oh,
wow.
I
did-
lost. You
Wow.
threw me by chucking that one in.
Steve McManaman.
Yeah, because I then started thinking. I don't know what I started thinking. I then started thinking Liverpool theme, and then I lost the rag.
I
Oh,
was struggling big time after that, so I'm
that
glad.
Miss Jam music was getting quite quick, mate.
That's the point. we never get that far into it.
I know, it threw me. I was like, wow, this is getting quick.
Yeah, we have to think quick, and then we go. Oh well, that was fun.
Oh well, that was good.
We did well.
It's still quite embarrassing though, because the amount of former England players you've got is endless.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not endless.
Well, yeah, no. Okay, well done, mate.
Okay, all right, great. We have got podium goes to do as well. Should we talk about WrestleMania quickly? Come on.
Of course, mate. We've got to talk. So WrestleMania. Let's be honest. The stadium looked amazing. But can I just say, if I've not seen these pictures, was there a roller coaster at the top of the stadium?
It was set in the image of a roller coaster, yes, because they were in Orlando, so they based it on where they were.
Because I thought I had this image of like you could go on a roller coaster and watch the wrestling at the same time. I thought that's quite cool.
Yeah, sadly, no,
No,
never mind. But it was a roller coaster. It was the ultimate thrill ride, as they kept on telling us.
So what was it like? What was it like then, mate? What WrestleMania? What was it like? Who won?
Who won? Well, okay. Well, if you are a wrestling fan that has not yet seen WrestleMania, beware of spoilers. Okay,
Yes.
turn off now. Fast forward a couple of minutes from now. But obviously, the big news was that Alexa Bliss lost her women's title, her SmackDown women's title. Gutted. Horrendous. And then I went to see her again on SmackDown on Tuesday night, and she lost again.
Ah, well, if she's consistent.
Yeah, I guess. She lost to the same move, to the same person, to Naomi. But Naomi is from Florida, of course, so she was very popular with the locals. But there is a high proportion of unlocals.
Unlocals, if that's the word.
I've just created it. Obviously,
You're an unlocal over there.
I was an unlocal. I was a Johnny Foreigner amongst many, many, many. Met people from all over the world. It was an incredible experience, it must be said.
So did you get a chance then? Because I know you said you were going. Didn't they do some things where you can get some autographs or meet people? Did you get any chance to do that?
I did. I met a few wrestlers. I met the Usos. The Usos, who were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Got to hold their title belt. Got to meet Nia Jax. And technically, I got my picture taken with Alexa Bliss.
Technically, in other words, you basically just got into someone else's picture.
No, she was walking past, and I managed to do a quick half of my face with her in the background, so I can put that on our podcast.
You're not asked her to stop.
I wouldn't have been the only one asking her to stop. There were several trying to get her to stop, but yes. So we were. I was in touching distance of Alexa Bliss.
Okay, let's leave it there.
Yeah. Yes. we shall indeed.
So, did you meet? What's the new girl you like?
That's Alexa Bliss. That's
the one you were stalking.
Yeah, that's
sorry,
the one. Yeah.
meeting.
Paige wasn't there, so
Paige was
pretty much gone now. So
Paige was busy videoing somewhere else.
yes, she was doing something else. So or doing someone else. So she was no longer there. But yes, as I say, Alexa Bliss lost. The big news, of course, The Undertaker retiring. We imagine he's gone.
What's he going to do now?
Probably, I don't know. The honest answer to that is he's going to have his hip replaced. That's what he's going to do straight away.
Oh, crikey.
So that was very emotional. That was very sad. The Hardy Boys returned. which was a surprise. We thought they might come back to WWE, but we weren't expecting them at WrestleMania to come back. The place went mad. Place exploded for that. And John Cena proposed to Nikki Bella in the middle of the ring. So there we go.
Of all the places.
Yeah, that was always on the cards. We always knew that was going to happen, but it was still a great WrestleMania moment.
So did Undertaker then announce his retirement straight away, or did it get announced afterwards?
So he lost in the main event to Roman Reigns, everybody's favourite wrestler, Roman Reigns, which I'll explain to you in a moment if you don't know. No, he just stood up after Roman Reigns had left the ring. He stood up and left his hat and his gloves and his coat in the middle of the ring and walked off to the cheers and applause of all, well, so I say 75,000 people. The WWE said it was 75,000. They always overinflate. It would have been about 65,000 people. Yeah.
Nothing like the Americans, is it, to do that?
No. But it was a very strange end to the show as we're walking out of the stadium. So we walked where we were right on the floor, so really close to the ring, and we walked out basically from the centre. Basically, we walked to the ring and then out of the stadium. Very surreal experience. Everyone was very quiet, very hushed because it was emotional.
Well, I suppose like a funeral march, wouldn't it?
That would make sense.
Sorry.
Yes, but incredible experience. We had the Hall of Fame ceremony on the Friday, which was some amazing speeches from the likes of Beth Phoenix and Diamond Dallas Page, and then the NXT show on the Saturday, which has the best wrestling of the weekend, with Shinsuke Nakamura, and then WrestleMania, and then Monday Night Raw, Finn Balor from Ireland, from County Wicklow, he made his return, and then Tuesday Night SmackDown when Shinsuke Nakamura made his big debut on the main roster. So an incredible weekend. Never seen a hotel full of as many Brits wearing wrestling t-shirts in my life.
No, as I say, you've probably seen a hotel full of Brits if you went over to Magaluf on a weekend, but yeah, definitely not wearing wrestling tops,
t-shirts, yes.
T-shirt. So what was the merchandise? So obviously I know I've been years and years go to a wrestling event, but merchandise, was it all good? All the merchandise good? And
they had this incredible superstore at the Access where you meet all the wrestlers and stuff. This huge great superstore where you go in and buy pretty much anything you'd ever want that had wrestling on it. So of course, a little WrestleMania t-shirt and an NXT t-shirt. Might have got an Alexa Bliss t-shirt, a few other bits and pieces. It's just a license to print money, really.
Yeah.
For the WWE, but there we go.
Sounds good, mate. I must admit, obviously, I don't mind wrestling, but it does sound. I saw some of the pictures you put on there, and it did look amazing in terms of as a spectacle and stuff like that.
It was absolutely, that is the word for it. It was a spectacle. My favourite part of the whole night or the whole weekend, though, was my taxi ride home on Tuesday. So to fill you in, there was 4 of us that went over, but we all got different flights, and I stayed until the Wednesday, whereas the others stayed only until Tuesday.
Right.
So I got myself a ticket for the SmackDown show on the Tuesday as well, as a little bonus extra for me to go to. So I had to get a taxi back to my hotel on my own. So I called up a taxi, guy picks me up. I've never heard so much, honestly. It might have been Pete Winkleman sat next to me for all the absolute nonsense that came out of this guy's mouth. And he just kept on contradicting himself with everything like that, but he wouldn't have it that I couldn't disagree with him because he just wouldn't have it, but yeah. So I met the one taxi driver in the world that has met every single wrestler that's ever lived, has been to the house of every single wrestler that has ever lived, including Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, which was news to me that the Ultimate Warrior was still alive in 2015, but anyway. Just an incredible man. God love him. Taxi drivers in Orlando were something else. Talkative is the best word to explain them.
But that's Americans for you, isn't it, really? And apologies to any Americans that are listening in at the moment.
They do like a chat. They do like doing things large as well. Blimey, do they like things large?
Yes, they do.
I couldn't help them with that. But enough about that.
All in all, mate, good time had.
All in all, an amazing trip, yes. An amazing trip. I think WrestleMania, I would recommend doing that to anybody, as long as you like wrestling. Otherwise, it's a bit boring.
Or go to Orlando anyway. Orlando, I'm sure, is an amazing place. When I've been there. I've been there before, and it's an amazing place, isn't it? Orlando's
a bit of a strange place, though. It's very... Everything is, I don't know. I don't want to say the word fake.
It's a holiday state. It's a holiday state, isn't it? That's Florida for you in the whole line of things, isn't it? It's a holiday state, so it's built up for tourism.
Yes, but it's like mini cities and mini towns dotted around, and it's just like... It takes a long... Yeah, it's a big city to get yourself around, let's just put it that way. But All in all, great fun. Do you know what's even more fun than WrestleMania?
No, go for it.
Poleon Go.
Of course, let's go for it.
So I just had to get my clues ready there as we're listening to that little music. Okay, 4 clues. I think you've got a good chance of getting this one. First clue, a bit cryptic, but Dom this week has got the train to this stadium. Looking at the train station he has alighted at, he has assumed he is visiting a Welsh team.
A Welsh team, which obviously it's too obvious being a Welsh team. No, I'm not clear. I'm not going to say a Welsh team because I know it's not. I can't think of a reference to it yet.
Okay, fair enough. Well, he's got to this stage. He's actually got now on a connecting train, or a different train, which takes him right outside the stadium.
Right outside the stadium?
Literally a train that takes him right outside the stadium. A connecting train from either of the mainline stations he could have got to.
Is it? I've not been to a lot of the Manchester clubs now, but I'm just trying to think, is it a Greater Manchester team? Oh, is it Crewe?
No.
Damn.
Nowhere near Manchester.
I know Crewe's close. No, I still can't think of anything.
No, okay, well, this might help you think of stadiums that you have been to in which Dom has decided to take a seat because the away terrace doesn't give him the greatest view from behind the goal.
The away terrace doesn't give him the greatest view. Doesn't give a greatest view, and I've been there. I'm trying to think now. What hasn't got good views? Accrington's got a good view.
I use the word terrace very lightly.
Luton Town.
What?
Well, there's no good view of Luton Town, is there?
There's no terrace either.
There's no terrace, you're correct. No? I don't know.
No?
I don't like this game very much anymore.
You've been quite good at it the last few weeks.
I know. I'm tired this week.
Okay, well, how about the anagram then? You always get them on the anagrams. Spasm at jerk. No, that's amusing.
Spasm at jerk. Just trying to think of Spasm. It's not a Kasim Stadium, is it? 'Cause that's Oxford. No, I'm done. I don't know this week. I can't think of anything.
Okay, well, if I say I'll help you out with that cryptic clue at the start. He thinks he might have been at the Welsh team because of St David. Does that help you?
St David.
Yeah. Think of the train station.
St David is down in Exeter.
There we go.
What is the Welsh reference then? St David's. You said that.
I pretend you didn't say that.
And do you know what? I do always moan about that terrace.
But you
I do moan about terrace.
see these clues. That's why I thought you'd get it. But then
So train station being outside is a little bit because it's a little bit devious because no one really gets the train to that train station. Most get to Exeter and then go and walk because there's nice pubs along there, isn't there?
yes,
It's more.
but there is a station right outside the station.
Yeah, it's more of a return it's more of a return station, is it? Rather than that's quite devious. But the terrace, yeah, it's actually to be honest with you, the actual seating's rubbish as well. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So
Okay.
what is the name of the stadium? Just so we
So James's Park.
St James's Park. There we go. All good.
Silly game.
Okay, looking ahead then to Saturday's game with Bristol Rovers, we have been joined once again on the show by Ryan Sweeney, who will be making his return to Kingsmeadow on Saturday with his, I don't know really how to term it, how to phrase it, his loan club, is that right? I guess that's the best way of putting it. Ryan, you're still, or I say you are still, is the aim for the season for Rovers still to try and nab that last playoffs place?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look, we've got 15 points to play for. We're obviously only 6 points off it. So, yeah, no, definitely. I think we're going to have to probably win the remaining five games, probably. But no, it's still possible. You know, we're in decent form as well. So, yeah, no, it's definitely the target, and there'll be no let up. So hopefully we can just kick on, really. Yeah?
So looking at the last time I spoke to you, Ryan, I remember commenting on how tough your running was when you actually had, but you did really well in terms of you didn't lose against the top teams, but draw up against draw home to Bradford, draw home to Sheffield United, draw against Scunthorpe, and then a draw away to Bolton. So you didn't really gain any ground on them. But did you? How did you find them games? Did you think you were far off them teams? Because I know when we played Bolton and drew and also beat Scunthorpe, but did you find that you were far off the standard, and did it give you that confidence that you could probably push on the table?
Yeah, no, I think obviously they were real big games. I think we had like you said, it was 5 of the top 6 in that month. So I think obviously I think we drew 6 on the spin, and as frustrating as that is, not winning. I think obviously when you look at the teams we played, I think if you like spread them out over the course of the season, they're all like really good points to pick up. I think the game at Bolton, we were excellent. Should have taken 3 points. Could have taken 3 points easy against Scunthorpe and a couple of other games, to be fair. So no, I think it was a positive month in terms of the performances. And obviously, we would have liked to pick up a couple more wins, but like you said, they were real tough games, and we done really well in them. The performances were good, and I think it stood us in good stead for the rest of the season and gave us some confidence going into the games in March and April. Yeah,
obviously when we spoke to you last time, you just obviously lost top striker across the city.
Yeah.
How's that affected you? Because obviously there's not loads of goals here, but I see picking up goals here and there. Have Bristol Rovers had to adapt how they played a little bit, obviously without having that sort of target man up front?
Obviously, I only played one game with Matty Taylor, but obviously anyone that loses a 20-goal striker, obviously it's going to hit them hard. But to be fair, I think our strikers, they're in. I think they're playing really well. We've had like sort of Luke James and Rory Gaffney up there who've done really well for us. Ellis Harrison's been injured late, but I think obviously you see the quality we've got. So like Billy Bowden's scored a couple of like really good goals for us. So I think people in our team, like from midfield, have got the ability to chip in with a couple of goals. And I think Byron Moore scored, Chris Lyons, Ollie Clark's coming with a couple. So we've got the quality sort of in midfield. Obviously they can score a goal, so it's not all down to the strikers.
Because Luke James rings a bell to me. Yeah, he's on loan from Peterborough, isn't he?
Yeah.
And if I remember properly, we crossed his path early on, didn't we?
Was it Hartlepool?
That's it. He was on loan at Hartlepool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe a decent player.
Very good player.
Only 22 as well. Crikey, feels like he's been around the block a bit.
Yeah.
So I guess basically what you're saying is everyone's obviously chipping in with goals.
Yeah.
Have you had any been yet?
I've been a couple of goalmouth scrambles, and I've had one off the line in one game. But it's just that's one thing that's eluding me at the moment. The first goal. So I can pop up with one soon.
Yeah, not too soon.
Yeah, not too soon. Yeah.
You know, it's coming.
Yeah. Hold it off for a week or so. Stu was actually just saying to me beforehand, your record at the moment at Bristol Rovers is very strong individually. I mean, your win-loss record, to use an American term. I think,
yeah.
Stu, what was it? Only lost one game or something?
Lost one in 12 appearances, lost one, which was the reverse against Bury, which is a bit of a shock result, really, wasn't it? And then also losing Coventry, which you weren't playing in, I noticed.
Yeah, no, I was with Republic of Ireland under 21s. I played on Saturday, so I missed the game at Coventry.
Okay, because there's a rule, isn't there, that you've got to have so many, is it right? So many international call-outs before you can call games off and stuff. Yeah,
I think we had me and Jake Clark-Salter was at with England, so I think it was just 2. So I think the game obviously went ahead.
Jake Clark-Salter is a name that rings a bell to me, Ryan.
Yeah. He's obviously down at Bristol as well, on loan from Chelsea. So
I didn't realise he was down there as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
how old is he now?
He's 18, 19.
Right.
He was a year school year below me. So.
Oh, okay. He was in the year below.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So for the uninitiated, Jake Clark-Salter is another player that was at the Richard Chandler School, which Ryan was at, which I was at.
Yeah.
So he's at Chelsea on Chelsea's books, and obviously at loan at Bristol Rovers as well. So small world. There we go.
Didn't he play against our under 18s in the youth front?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Crikey, that's not bad then, is it? Getting the Bristol Rovers on a probably shows you, to be fair though, the standard of Chelsea were when we played them that year that they could probably go out, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking ahead to Saturday's game, Ryan, and last time out we were beaten at Port Vale.
Yeah.
And a few of our fans suggested or hinted that because we're safe and we're not going up or we're not going down, that some of our intensity might have dropped a little bit. Is that something that does happen? Not for yourself at the moment, obviously. And last season, of course, we were pushing for playoffs from League Two as well. So we had something to aim for into the run-in.
Yeah.
But do you find when teams are mid-table, are these the sort of games that for clubs like yourself now, looking to pick up points, you think, well, these are the sorts of teams we want to be playing because they might be looking ahead to their holidays already?
No, I don't think not necessarily. I think in a way, obviously, Wimbledon are safe, obviously, and like you said, they're probably 5 games, probably not a lot to play for. But I think in that sense, I think it will probably make for like an open game in terms of the way the game's going to go. I know, obviously, I work with the gaffer and all that, Neil Ardley and the staff, so he definitely there won't be a let up. I remember I think the season before last we were safe with quite a few games to go as well, and I remember training's still very intense. He still wants the best out of his players to finish as high as possible, so not necessarily we know it's going to be a real tough game every time the opposition come to Wimbledon, so we know what sort of game it's going to be. So I don't think in terms of that it's going to be a let up from Wimbledon's point of view.
So obviously you know the team very well, and it's not an unfair question, but are you relishing the battle to obviously, because since you've left, you've obviously had some becoming more experienced games, Stoke training. Are you looking forward to renewing some maybe battles you had on the training pitch with some of the players? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, obviously, I think the strike force down at Wimbledon's really, really good. Obviously, Lyle Taylor, Tom Elliott were the two when obviously I was there. And when you're sort of going up against them in training, you pick up things on like sort of what they do and sort of their strengths, weaknesses. But I think it's going to be completely different, like going into a proper battle for 3 points. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the challenge of whoever plays up there. I know they got obviously Dom as well, who's very, very good, and obviously Tyrone Barnett. So no, whoever goes up there, I'll be looking forward to come up against.
I'm just looking to see for your playoff push as well. I'm guessing we're looking at you chasing down. Southend have got the last place at the moment.
Yeah,
they're level on points with Millwall. Rochdale are in the mix as well. So obviously you'll be keeping an eye on their results. We played Southend recently, didn't we, Stu? And I've got to say they're probably one of the best teams we've seen, haven't they? So
it was difficult though, wasn't it, Nick? Because we beat MK the week before.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like one of those like after Lord Mayor show, wasn't it? I think Southend were good. I don't know. They were a decent side. I don't know whether actually we just lacked that intensity, didn't we? Because you couldn't go from Milton Keynes game to Southend. You've beaten them recently, though, haven't you, Ryan? You've beaten 2-0 at home. Beginning of March.
Yeah, I think we did. I know we they got a very good side. To be fair to them, but I don't think they didn't really turn up on the day. We were 2-0 up within, I think, sort of 20 minutes. I think it was. So we got 2 early goals, and I just don't think they really turned up and didn't play well. To be fair, but that weren't taking really anything away from us. We put them on the back foot in the first whistle, but I think you can obviously tell they're a very good side. If they're in the top 6, they've got some real good players. Yeah.
And those 3 clubs I just mentioned, Southend, Rochdale and Mill, all got away games on Saturday, yourself obviously, all against teams struggling for points at the bottom of the table, which makes for some very interesting games, I'd imagine. So
yeah,
it's going to be fascinating watching, I think, to see what happens at the end of it.
It's interesting when you look. It's like when I look at it, a team. If I was going to say there was a team to catch, Southend, I think, they're strong, and they probably got. It's with 5 games to go, but I do sense it. If it was for if there was another couple of games to go on top, Scunthorpe are falling like a stone. They must be the team to catch. We beat them. I know Bristol Rovers drew against them, but they do seem to be struggling under the pressure at the moment, don't
they? Yeah, I think so. I think, from our point of view, I think we can just, because I think we're a bit of a long shot at the moment, being 6 points off it with not long to go. But I think as long as we worry about ourselves and just keep trying to take game by game and pick up 3 points in each game, I think we'll be in with a shout come sort of the last game. So hopefully we can do that.
I love that. That was such a well coached answer to one. I love it. I wondered when that was going to come up. No, you are. I just purely from looking at the table, it is a real shame because I look at your form and I don't think, in fairness, Bristol Rovers for us on Saturday is a real tough game. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I look at your running, and it's just, I think for Millwall, I don't think Millwall's had a good season, but since their defeat against Tottenham, they sort of struggled, haven't they? But if there's one team, if you sort of go with it, if you can just get in touching, the only problem I think Bristol Rovers have is their goal difference. All the other teams have a strong goal difference, but I suppose it's just putting, this time of the season, you just never know. If you can keep putting your wins together, you just put pressure on teams around you, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was sort of with us last season at Wimbledon. I think we stuck a real good run together, and you just fly up the table. But yeah, now there's I think, like I just said, like as long as we keep stringing wins together, one Saturday, so hopefully we can just kick on from there really and just carry on picking up as many wins as possible to the end of the season. Yeah.
And even if you were to fall short of the playoffs, it has been a fantastic first season for yourselves, and in fact probably all the clubs that got promoted last season. So top half finish is still a great achievement.
Yeah, it is. I think for obviously Wimbledon coming up, they added some real good players to their team. To think that they mid-table, sort of 12th, 13th, I think, to be at that point this season and completely safe. I think that's a fantastic achievement. It's a testament as well to the coaching staff. How well they've done with the club since they come in. So I think it's going to be. It'll be an interesting game Saturday. Obviously Bristol Rovers have done fantastic as well. Still being a good shout for the top six this season. That's a fantastic achievement for a club that's just come up from League Two and got back promotion. So I think Darryl Clark, the gaffer's done, and his staff have done an absolute fantastic job down there.
It has, and also they stuck by him as well, didn't they? They just stick by him. It could have been easy to not get rid of him, but they actually stuck by him and put faith in him. So I think it was spot on. I think I think no matter where Bristol Rovers finish, I think they've had a great season with that. So obviously Saturday, we look forward to seeing you, Ryan, on Saturday. We hope we don't give you too much of an easy ride.
Good.
Have you got family there on Saturday?
Yeah, I've got sort of like my mum and dad are coming down, and got my uncle, my granddad's going to be there as well. So a couple of the family are coming down to watch us. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I hope they don't have too much to cheer, but we'll look forward. We'll look forward to welcoming you back, I'm sure, on Saturday.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, a warm welcome, definitely. I'm sure. But cheers for joining us again, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
And all the best for the rest of the season after Saturday, of course.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. All right, that brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget that updates from that Bristol Rovers game will be available on Twitter and Instagram at 9YRS Podcast, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook as well. Don't think there's anything else to add this week, Stu, really.
No, it's been an interesting podcast this week. A day late, but I think pretty good this week. If I should say so myself.
You've not done bad, considering it's basically your podcast this week, because I've just been dead and not with it whatsoever.
You've done well, mate, considering you're jet lagged.
I really do need some sleep. Great, I tell you what, those flights, they're amazing. I know we talked about WrestleMania earlier. United Airlines, wow, I cannot speak highly enough. That was great. I was looked after very, very nicely on their flights to and from. I was very, very happy. All good.
They are supposed to be good United Airlines, and they're supposed to be quite competitively priced as well, I believe.
Well, that's why I ended up doing connections in Newark and Washington and places like this. But
Washington?
I was in Washington, yeah. My flight home to Heathrow was from Washington. Washington Dulles, whatever you pronounce it.
Did you have long to stay in Washington?
No, not long at all, actually, about an hour and a half. And it was perfect because, unlike Newark, where you have to go out and back in again, basically, Washington, I just arrived and walked straight to my gate and sat and waited for a little bit. It was all good.
Happy days.
Happy days indeed. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us this week, Stu.
No problem at all, thank you.
And thank you for listening. And please join us again next week when we're going to be joined by David Moyes. So, Stu, just get ready because you never know what might happen. We'll see you then.